Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting for March 7th, 2019. Before we approve the agenda, I just wanted to introduce Candace to our board. Welcome, Candace.
Oh, nice to be
Do
here.
you want to just tell a little bit about yourself?
Originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm on faculty at North Carolina State University in the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Management. I'm on phased retirement right now, so trying to exit by next year. So I've just been in the recreation field most of my adult life and love what y'all do down here, so I thought it'd be great to be part of this group.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Boy, we're gonna.
She's very modest. She has a PhD in recreation services or something.
Well, but I mean, that's
I didn't know that was even available.
it is. It is.
Cool. Well, welcome. We've got the agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
I have,
Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to add, before we get to public comment, the Parks and Rec Master Plan update, just for
Okay.
some
Do
general
we call
questions.
that 5B, Christy?
Yes.
Do we have to approve it? Do we have to make a motion to approve that agenda change, Christy?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda change by adding the 5-year update, master plan update?
I actually think that Dolly has to accept the change since she was the motion maker. And then you need a second.
Oh, okay. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
So moved, even though I do go back.
Well, if you want to.
I got a
No,
couple
you
of
can't.
issues. I'm not going there again this month. I'm gonna let you do it.
No,
Okay. We have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Anyone second?
I'll second it.
All right. The motion, all in favor?
Aye.
The agenda, the minutes have been approved. Okay, follow-up discussion for the 50th. I'm just going to start because that was the most awesome thing. It was absolutely wonderful. I just had an absolutely wonderful time. I didn't hear one negative comment from anybody. The food was delicious. It was well organized. At the last minute, we weren't quite sure how we were going to accommodate everybody, but everybody just...
Two locations was really perfect.
Yeah, it was just, it worked out perfectly. It just worked out perfectly. And I think Christy and I were sort of fretting at the beginning of the day, along with David, as to what to do with the bonfire. And so many people came up to me afterwards and said, you know, the bonfire would have been overkill almost. Because I think people just sort of lingered, and it was, I mean, I can't think of, not that we're going to be around in another 50 years, but I can't think of anything that we did that evening that I would change. Thank you, Christy, and thank you to Heather.
You worked tirelessly.
And all the town staff that, I know they put together this room after we left, and thank you.
Well, I just, of course, wanted to add that on my end, the events went flawlessly because of the efforts of this board. I also wanted to put on record to thank staff from other departments because they did work behind the scenes, including setting up of this room and breakdown, as people that don't always get called out. Also, the Public Works Department, even though we did not have the bonfire, prepped the beach for the bonfire and brought a pipe or approved container over for that. So I wanted to make sure to express thanks for that. And Tri-Beach Fire was going to handle the bonfire for us. Mr. Curtis Bolden was assisting with the audio-visual needs at the chapel. Donna Bloom and Mr. DeWeese helped with the centerpieces. So thank you to all of you for making those events come off flawlessly.
And I'd like to put in the records that we can seat 196 people at the chapel. And I did not realize
Who'd have
that.
thought it?
And also, while we're thinking, I want to thank Lewis, who got us set up over there before
That's
Curtis
correct.
was able to come in. He was a lot of help. I was getting worried, so.
Well, thank you, I mean,
And
thank you
thank
to
you.
this board.
Yeah.
I mean, and thank you for all your baking. And I guess the only thing I regret is that I didn't get to taste that chocolate peanut butter.
Oh, I
cake
did.
that
I went
Olivia
by the
made.
But we get the recipe. Was that
But
right?
anyway, thank you. Well, and then actually Becky's sister came. She helped. Olivia's mom and her cousin helped. It was just.
And Priscilla helped.
Priscilla helped. Lewis helped. Mark helped. Dwight helped. Anyway, it was just a
But
wonderful, fun
if we ever
event for all of us.
estimate 100 people, we better get ready because we estimated 25 for this event. And if we ever
Okay.
estimate 100,
Yeah.
Well, the bottom line is, people don't have anything to do in February, and if you're gonna invite them to something, they're coming.
And it's probably kind of a good thing that they had that basketball game, because if there wasn't
Right.
a basketball game that afternoon, it could have been even more crowded.
It could be worse.
So,
Better.
Anyway.
I want to say too that you rarely ever have an event that every comment you hear is positive. And I did not hear anybody say anything negative about any part of it. Everybody just talked about what a good time they had and you know, how much they enjoyed listening to the mayor and Lynn and the history, and it was just, everything just worked really well.
It really did.
And I know Christy and Heather got really tired of holding Heather's phone to live stream that, because they
Sitting
were
on the
swapping
floor for
it
that
back
whole
and
time,
forth,
yeah.
you know, sitting there with the phone trying to get it where everybody could be a part, and it was just like nobody had any complaints, and you can't beat that.
No, that's for sure.
and it's something you cannot measure monetarily. It's a PR.
Mm-hmm.
It was a PR plus
Mm-hmm.
for the whole community and for this town and for the staff, I think.
It was great. Thank you again, Christy, and everybody else that put forth their efforts.
And to the Beacon. I'd
yeah.
like to comment.
Yeah.
Add them.
Yes, to that point, Olivia, I don't know if it was in the minutes, but I listened to it on the tape. It was a little detailed, but you had asked at the last meeting if we were getting inserts, and I did not know they were going to bring us inserts, but they did supply them. So that came after our meeting occurred, and that was nice that they brought us so many copies over.
So we'll just keep adding to the time capsule.
And we'll have a little something next year to seal it up.
Mhm.
I do know that
A little
the ATMC girl, because they're doing the fiber optics, she brought a card with ATMC information on it and a piece of the fiber optic cable to
Oh,
put
that's
in
neat.
and I just wondered what some of the other, and I know HBBC put their handbook in, but I didn't know some of the other things that,
Jabin Norris interviewed Gay Atkins
okay,
and videoed it and put that interview in there.
that's good, because she's from town. Yeah.
When
She-
how it
was she
was when
mayor
she first
at one
went.
time?
Yeah, she's been most everything.
Cool.
mayor and.
Oh my goodness.
Like it just happened to be sitting right there.
What we ended up doing.
And we're actually not going to bury it.
Yeah, I think that's wise.
There
One minute.
is a shell that was washed up from offshore
50 years that was.
Oh,
that somebody brought to us that are like the ones that we have in the cabin. This is a tie off a ship the same guy brought that
Wow.
was
A German?
It's Mr. Anderson, Ken Anderson, Julia from
Yes, Julius.
a child brought a seashell that she's written on that she
That's
wanted
good.
to go in there. There's one of the 50th anniversary shirts, the newspaper article from the 50th and the 25th, the fiber optic cable, and that flash drive so far. And then Becky brought the flash drive, and there's the 4 pictures that the mayor had supplied before of a couple of different, this is going water skiing, it's related to like businesses, the Coquina shop. So there's copies of those in there.
Well, I was going to print some of the pictures and but I didn't know if it would be how they would hold up. If I'd be better to do the flash drive, and I can still print some of the pictures if y'all want me to.
50 years from now, we won't have flash drives.
I was gonna say, you're gonna get into it.
Well, I said it's good. When people will look at it and say, "What is that?"
That's right, what is that?
So I'll go
We should
ahead and
almost
print
like
some of the
stick a
pictures.
cell phone in there. Somebody's got an old cell phone.
You know, I've got a copy of John Holden's book, and I've got a copy of Friend something by the sea fever.
Uh-huh.
And I'll donate those, Christie, to go in there because I thought maybe you might get
A copy
a
of
copy
John Holden's book would be a good idea.
and put both of those in there. But I'll get those to you.
Okay.
And I'll-
Because I don't
I'll
have
print some of
children
the
to leave them
pictures.
to,
I won't
so.
print all of them, but I'll print some of them.
Sounds good. Should we move on to program updates and upcoming special events?
Yes. At the last meeting, in the minutes, I think it's reflected that we talked about the Arts Council race, but they had some changeover in their board, and they did not have anybody that could take that race on. And so that has been moved to next year.
Okay, so we take it off of April
It's
6th.
coming off of April 6th.
Now, Christie, we were going to work with them to get the painting on the bathroom facility.
We were, and I got a nice note from them that said they really appreciated the number of times that I changed my calendar book for them for their race, and that they would be happy to still entertain talking with us about that mural.
Okay.
And I'm currently deconflicting dates, but we are exploring April the 11th for the volunteer appreciation luncheon for all town board members and volunteers that assist. And of course that would be all of your spouses that have come and helped at events and your family members. And so when that date is confirmed, something will go out from me to this board, but also from other staff to boards they represent, and you'll have a time period to respond so that we have an accurate head count for food
And that would be for lunch.
for lunch. And I just need to check that date with one another calendar. And I was focusing on that week because that's National Volunteer Week, but we'll see how that plays out. And then the egg hunt will be April 19th. That's Good Friday, that evening, the way it always falls on that date. Times to be announced, and I've decided that I'm going to wait a couple of weeks to put that out. Last month we put it out a month in advance, and we filled up so quickly and had to begin to turn people away that I think we're going to wait till it's about 2 to 3 weeks out. And then I'm also looking at how we can adjust the schedule to accommodate more folks without having more folks in this room at the same time. And I did make a mental note that you guys said no cupcakes with icing this year, right? For dessert, because yeah.
Cookies are much better.
Cookies are better.
And if you'll remember, and I know it's been a long time, but we had recycled our eggs so many times that they now went to retired with the folks who take them home last year. So we have new eggs to start. If you have any time in April that you can come by and help label eggs with numbers on them and put them in there.
And let's do that. That's so time
What
consuming
if
for
we-
you, Christy.
Can we take some home?
You can. You just have to give me time. I don't know if I have enough Ziploc bags to give them to you today.
So why don't we plan up?
Because what you do is you put them in teams. So you put. I don't want to say the number out loud because then people will know in our minutes. The amount that they're given when they get here per their team are in a bag with that number on each one of those eggs. And so
Why
you
don't
would
we
need
do that?
bags as well as your eggs. But I can get those
On
in
the
the next couple
4th,
of weeks.
when we meet, let's plan to stay an hour after the meeting. And we can do that at that time,
Is that gonna,
if that's okay.
Well, I need to do mine ahead because I'm not going to be here on the 4th.
We will let you have a pass.
I
Can I
can,
have
if
one too?
anybody needs to take them home, I can get them for you. And if there are a group that wants to stay on the 4th, that's good too.
Okay. I'm normally not here, but I will be this year. I usually in Atlanta for Easter, but I'm not good at this year. So will you have them for, okay. I'm thinking another day.
So then in April, we've got the volunteer appreciation lunch, and then the Easter egg hunt. Anything else coming up, Christy?
Yes, the first weekend in May, the 3rd and 4th, with a rain date of the 5th, is our annual pickleball tournament.
Okay.
And then I guess the last thing I just need to report under that category is that we are currently interviewing possible intern candidates that went out for the universities to the NCRPA website. So far I've been contacted by 4 different interested individuals.
Oh, I hope that works out for you.
So hopefully we'll be making a decision and things will work out. Hopefully I'll know something by mid-month next month.
Are you still going to do the camp this year?
Yes. Unless I'm told differently between now and
Okay.
June.
Do we do anything for the festival?
Pay the docs.
We have in the past. We one year, my first year here, we set up a table in the park, and we did some games. And then one year we did the surf contest, and the town was in charge of that. But we don't particularly every year.
Okay.
Was it they decided last month that we wouldn't compete with the shirts
It was.
with the festival? So they also sell the dog shirts, don't they?
They do.
Okay,
They
but
sell
what
turtle
about
shirts.
having representation of booth or something where people can see the flag and people can place orders? You don't have a large inventory of the flags, do you?
We don't.
But that could be something that if people paid in advance and they ordered, you could take orders for, correct? Because those would be great housewarming gifts for new neighbors.
Well, one thing, Becky and I would have conflicts because we've got plant sale at the same time, so 2 of us are
What,
committed
what's the date of Day at the Ducks?
Friday or Saturday.
26th and 27th of April, 27th and 28th of April, because it's Saturday and Sunday,
Sunday.
right?
It is.
And we could help on Sunday, but we couldn't on Saturday.
It could help.
Okay.
I Can we circle back to that one next month?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if I can do that, and I can't.
That just might be one more weekend that you're giving up.
Well, and again, it's not necessary. I just thought the flags are so awesome. I don't think most people really know. Did you have any of them out Saturday night? I know you did Thursday of the.
We did not sell anything Saturday night because of half of the people being in the chapel.
Well, yeah, and the masses. Yeah.
But technically, flags, I don't order the flags, and I don't know what's involved with the flags and getting the flags here, so I don't feel comfortable committing to.
Okay.
I need to check with the people that do the flag stuff to see.
But they don't keep a huge inventory.
Like right now, that day that I went to get them, there was probably, unless we have them stored in a different place that I don't know about, like 10 down there. So before I commit us to something, I
Well,
want.
and again, that might be just food for thought for, we didn't want to compete with t-shirts. Maybe if we want a presence at festival. Maybe not this soon, something coming up this soon, but it just depends on if the town would like to promote the flags. I mean, they may not.
I think there are a lot of people who don't realize
I don't
there's
think
even a town flag.
I don't think they realize you can purchase them here either.
I wonder if we just put the flag out someplace and just say, if you're interested.
Well, there's a third flag
Look at
pole.
you look on the website, or you can contact the town hall or something like that. Then you wouldn't have to have anybody man it.
I would say the best thing to do would be to do a blast with a picture of the flag, maybe, or that they're available.
I think it's a good idea. Let me think about that one too. You would not imagine the number of emails I got back over t-shirts. You would not believe the number of questions
Okay.
people can ask about a t-shirt.
Probably, how big is the flag? Does it have to go on a pole? Yeah.
Is it water resistant? Is
Yeah,
it sun
yeah,
resistant?
yeah.
It was
double-sided.
Will it match my house?
Can you take a picture of the t-shirt? Can you do? But yeah, we can think about that for sure. I'll put an asterisk by it, and I'll try to find out some answers before next month.
All right.
Well, as far as we know now, the bridge work is not going to affect any events, right?
It's just going to obstruct our view.
I mean, other than people getting over it. I mean, affect them occurring, not affect the fact that it might take longer to get over here. You following my
I
question?
do. I'm really afraid to answer, and
Okay.
I'll be honest. The town, David and I have struggled really hard on sending out a blast to the town about the bridge because we've met with DOT 3 times, and we have no more information on the third
Say
trip
something
than we
different every
did.
time.
I do think I'll use a visual. I guess I think concerts are going to be impacted unless they move faster. Then they're sticking with. They have until October 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And
To
they
finish
they
the rail on the bridge?
no, this is including
Repairs.
repairs. They're gonna
It's going
have
to be like this for how long?
The entire summer.
they have until October
I asked
1st
the
in their
question
contract.
back when we discussed it, and they said the weekends would not be impacted.
Yeah, and I really
And they-
can't in here get into because like I said,
Okay.
we've gotten. But what I will answer is the events.
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
Okay.
My anticipation, based on what I've heard so far, is if you imagine the, I know everybody's gonna gasp when I finish what I say, but this is the best I can do with what I have to work with. If you imagine the fence out around the basketball court is the pavilion, and about where we are sitting is where their line of they're gonna mark off comes. There's going to be about that much space for chairs to get on Sunday evenings. So if people are coming to concerts, they should come early and put their chairs out, and I'm going to have to work through the rest of it.
Or
Well, that was not the answer that was given, because we asked about the impact on tourism, and the answer in this room was Thursday to Sunday they would not be working, is what they said at that time.
And
Could they
closing
park-
closing lanes on the top of the bridge on weekends, and still being able to work underneath with the fact that things could fall down and they have to have a safety area zoned out are different.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't mean to open the can. And
It's okay.
I tried to ask that question so that we wouldn't get into too much.
I know. I am extremely concerned about concerts. I'm extremely concerned about how I'm going to get an 18-wheeler to the pavilion.
Mhm.
But we have signed contracts.
Well, what about like days at the dock? I mean, we live down that end. It's pretty.
We met with the festival committee on Monday, and they are trying to create their game plan.
Okay.
That's I have to stop there.
All right. Well, I'm done. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And tie-dye will be the same way. The lines won't be able to.
It'll have to. We're gonna need some Disneyland things.
That's right.
Wow.
Or pick a number.
Kind of
Okay.
lottery.
Planning.
Okay.
5B. Parks and Rec Master Plan update.
Okay, my question on that was, the master plan that's on the website is 2011, and I'm not asking, are we going to look at it this year because it has to be budgeted? But is that something we want to put on the budget for next year, because there is a cost affiliated with that?
Yes, I would recommend that next year when the budget, like we did last month, come up, that is normally it's every 5 years. If you want to chime in here, feel free to update and refresh them. Ours is way old. There were a lot of budgetary concerns where the B Park budget was going to take an increase this year, so I did not think that would make it through.
Right.
But I do think that we're way overdue for next year, so that would be the appropriate place for this board to make a recommendation at budget time.
What time of year would that be, Christy?
We missed, what happened was we would have done it in December or January, and then we ended up not having a quorum for the January meeting. So in the December-January time frame, we would need to have budget estimates together. And then I don't know, feel free, Candace, to chime in. Do you guys, I don't know if you guys do that as like something through the university with student projects?
We don't do a lot of those because students are on schedules, but we have folks that we can suggest maybe that can help to do that. And we can't usually do them because we can't compete with private enterprise. The
Yeah, I
university
understand that.
is prohibited from offering that as a service for pay because we can usually undercut, but we could, if you had a specific thing in mind, we might be able to ask a classroom. And UNC Wilmington may be closer. That could also offer probably, they have a Parks and Rec department there. And they're closer than running students down here from NC State. But you don't plan to go up for any type of grant that requires an updated master plan, do you? In the next...
Not this coming year that we're
Right.
aware of.
Yeah, and that'd be the only thing. I mean, other than having one for planning purposes that
Right.
you need to use as a guide, that may be the thing that could push you to get a master plan done, is that this one would not qualify for any of the state grants, I don't think.
Can you use Coastal Carolina since it's in South Carolina?
Yeah, I think
Because
you could.
it's-
Mhm. Oh yeah,
It's
they
was-
do. They would be close by. So yeah, you could.
That would be
COGS
another
can work with
option.
you. We have some of the COGS that help some communities. Some of their staff will help put together plans.
And we did a private company last year, and I did, when this was kind of being considered this year and what needed to happen, our Parks and Rec Trust Fund regional person offered some folks that maybe they've seen plans from in the past. They can't
Right.
recommend anybody.
Right, but yeah, we can certainly give you some names. And
So with so much on it obsolete, is there a time that we as a board need to look at it prior to that? Or is that all with the consultant or meet as a group? I don't know that process.
I'll need to do some follow up. I think what will probably happen is that we may get some price quotes, or maybe have the consultants come in, and then you guys can narrow it down to a recommendation. You would be then, much like the Parks and Rec, much like the Inlet and Beach Board is doing with their long term plan. Now there would be meetings. There'd be public meetings for the
Right.
updates and working meetings with this board.
yeah, it'd be a fairly long. About a year-long
Year-long
process
process.
with
Yeah.
surveys and.
That's why I thought we need to at least plan to get it on the budget for the following year, because once it's funded, then it could still take.
But you probably have to put an RFP out, right? So, but there are some people that are individually, that are not companies that have worked in the field, they've retired, that I know that they're doing some of these plans as well. And they could probably help you pull something together.
Don't you agree it's time?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass that.
Agenda item number 6 is public comment. I don't have anybody in attendance, so we can forego that. The next meeting is April 4th, and the meeting after that is May 2nd, and unfortunately, and I had no control over this, but I can't make either one of them, which is fine. But I just want to make sure that, I know that Becky mentioned she won't.
May 4th.
I won't be here April 4th, but I will be here May the 2nd.
Okay. I just want to make sure that,
I won't be here May
if we already know some dates that we're not going to make it, just so people that aren't
Yeah,
living
we
here
have
full
people
time.
driving, yeah.
And
And just so everybody knows, if we don't, and I'm not saying we need to do this, but if there's nothing, real pressing on the agenda or something like that, we don't have to meet every month. That's also an option.
so Christy, when you send the agenda out, could you ask each month for feedback as to those that are or not going to be able to make it? Because It is disillusioning for those of us that drive in.
Sure.
There was not a quorum at one time.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
of course, we were one member short then, so
Yeah.
that created a greater opportunity for not having a quorum.
Right.
But I would like to see us, if we possibly can meet on the 4th, to mark some of the eggs and use that as a working.
I can, but just remember you can't reply all because we can't have a digital meeting. So if in turn that you know that when the agenda comes out, you can also feel free to send that back that you won't be here, and that way I'll know what we have as a quorum.
So if you don't hear from us, we're going to be here.
If you don't hear from us,
Don't,
you're
if you-
going to be
otherwise we'll let you know as a reminder.
yes,
Even if we said
How-
today, remind you.
right.
How close to the meeting date can we go ahead and cancel without getting in
We
trouble?
have to
Is
48
it 48
hours.
hours?
Mhm.
48 hours, okay.
So we need to respond to you immediately.
But
Or
respond
you
directly to
can
you.
do it beforehand.
That's
Then
it.
If
you
you
have
know.
the response, yes.
Yes.
So for the April meeting, we know right now 3 people can't be here.
I will be
You
here.
will be here. You cannot, and you cannot.
I cannot.
Anybody else cannot? So we'll have a quorum, right?
You don't have to come.
Now, I cannot
Unless it's
May
emergency.
2nd.
Okay.
I know I'm gonna be on the
You'll be back by then.
I'll be back, and we'll still have a quorum.
And
Mhm.
don't quote me on this. I'll have to go back and look at the way your actual group reads, but I believe that you guys, since your chair and vice chair will not be here on the 4th, have to have a temporary chair that you elect that day. So one of you folks that said you're going to be here, get ready because I think you're going to run the meeting.
John, you can do that. John's got
Who's got the most
experience.
longevity?
That's right.
John gets elected.
Okay, well, for those that will be here, April 4th at 2 o'clock. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. For Olivia, all in favor?
All right.